Welcome back to the invisible world of content. In previous episodes, we've been looking at the content kingdoms of old and all the wars that have been happening between them. We've looked at all those silos and what is broken about the interactions that are really driving lots of chaos inside of content organizations. We know that there's a better way, and teams are starting to find common ground. So what is the secret to this common ground that is creating more coherence and more order and more collaboration? What is that? Very simple, shared patterns. We know that we need those patterns because all of us are addressing the need for smarter, more relevant content experiences. We're all dealing with scale. And we all need to empower customers and creators. So we need a new way of working with content. We need governance, some defined processes that people can depend on, a way to sustain the unity of content process between departments and teams. None of that happens on its own. It requires people and process to be together in some permanent chartered function. And that's where we start building towards a content services organization. Let's talk about how the CSO happens, who's funding them, and how to get started. Let's go. So how do we get to shared content processes, and how do we get them running smoothly? Two things: the content services organization, which runs the content orchestration model. The CSO is a chartered function within enterprises, ultimately responsible for how content gets done. Let's go back and look at a definition. The CSO contains content practice leadership, including strategy, engineering, and operations. Together, the CSO organizes content and content process to support publishing groups that build and deliver intelligent content. The CSO can operate at any scale, at the department level or at enterprise-wide scale. The more scope it has, the more value it has. The CSO, as an organizational structure, defines the working relationships that enable the creation of intelligent content. Intelligent content is content that's been structured and tagged so it can flow efficiently and effectively between people and systems and many, many channels. And if you'd like to learn more about the CSO, check out these episodes. So let's talk about sponsorship, how these things get done. The CSO is not an obvious thing for most organizations because content has happened in an accidental way in every department for all of time, basically. So all of a sudden, asking an organization to start this function that helps to orchestrate how content moves, it is kind of different. So there's a few potential starting points. They can start within a department, or it can be an integration project between two or more departments. We've also seen them actually sponsored at a very high level between the CIO and the CMO of a Fortune 50 company. The important thing is that there's chartered leadership inside the function that is able to do the content orchestration, manage the content engineering standards, activate the strategic use of content assets, and really help content operations across teams. Engineering, strategy, operations. That's it. Another key ingredient is the content orchestration model. That's what the CSO uses to just document how content gets done. We have a whole other episode on how the content orchestration model works, and you can check those out here. As teams are beginning to implement a COM, we're seeing that most start with common conversations. Just conversations you can have from peer to peer about the problem set within content and how it needs to get remedied. Talk about the drivers, talk about the patterns, talk about the business needs in your enterprise's terms, right? Because every enterprise has very clear drivers behind the value of content and also how customer experiences are adding value to the bottom line. Talk in those terms and really begin to elevate and work towards a unified playbook as a holistic team. Because ultimately content touches everyone, all the processes, but it does start in the departments. It starts with the recognition that content is a team sport, and it needs to not only be one artifact to one customer, but a set of shared infrastructure and processes that empower departments to be able to do their creative work as creatively and as independently as possible, while sharing an environment where content gets done smoothly, with support, and with connection. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to catch the latest episodes. Check out all the content on simpleA.com. And until we meet again, let's take one step at a time towards a smarter world.